Alright guys, welcome back. It's opening day of late season muzzleloader hunting for me. As you can tell, I don't have a firearm with me because I'm just scouting. I'm just checking some of these food sources. These areas have been getting pounded with hunters for the last few weeks during these gun seasons and whatnot, so I'm just going to kind of ease into the late season. It's almost 50 degrees today. I'd rather hunt when it's single digit or below zero temperatures if I had my choice. That seems to root out most of the people, and it gets the deer up and moving even better. So what I'm doing is I'm looking for food sources right now to potentially target in the next few weeks. I'm in an ag food source here. It's just a standing bean field. As you would imagine, anywhere where you're going to have standing crops on public land, it's going to get piles and piles of attention from other hunters. I've been seeing boot tracks all the way in here, and I'm sure, I mean, there's deer tracks everywhere. The deer are definitely using this, but if there's a big buck using it with any sort of regularity during the day, good chance that he's been hunted on this thing this fall. However, once it gets into the late season, when it gets super cold out, people start to give up hope and the pressure slides off gradually as you get closer to Christmas. I'm checking this bean field right now. A lot of these pods are shattered or just been heavily browsed throughout the fall. Most of this field doesn't have a lot of beans left in it. I mean, the deer are still using it some, but right here on this hill behind me, there's a stretch of beans that have still got quite a few pods, quite a few seeds in there that the deer are feeding on. So this is a spot I'm going to keep in mind. I just scouted some standing corn not too long ago. I'm scouting some thickets, especially where there's good thermal cover, like cedars and pine trees. Deer really seem to head to those and bed on the southerly facing slopes during cold fronts in the late season. So I'm looking for those areas as well. I'm looking at a variety of different food sources, a bunch of different spots. That way I've got plan A, B, C, D, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to keep traipsing around and we'll show you what we run into out here. See, they're in here, boy. This is what I was just talking about though. These pods here, or these stems, you can tell they don't have hardly any seeds on them. And that's why I come out here and scout. So I can have all my details ironed out before I come out here to hunt, especially when it gets super cold. When it is like 5 degrees, I can't stand to be out here for more than an hour or two at a time. Otherwise, I'm going to freeze to death. So I got to know exactly where I'm going to sit. Right here on this ridge top, still got some pods on them with some seeds in the pods. Their brow's pretty heavy, but not like they was back behind me. A lot more food up here on this ridge top for them, especially when we get 3 or 4 inches of snow on. Because those pods right there, that one right there in particular, that one's got 3 or 4 seeds in it, and there's thousands more up through this row right here. So onward. Like I said a while ago, when you come out here and look at a field like this, you're like, oh man, I found the spot, this is amazing. But they'll trick you out here on public. If this was on a piece of private land where I managed all the pressure and kept people out, it'd be phenomenal. But on public, where you can easily walk right to it, everybody else and their dogs out here too, and they're finding the same thing I am. I have seen weird things happen, and we have killed deer over spots like this in the late season, which is why I'm still scouting it. But I'm not putting a lot of my eggs in this basket, because I know what's more than likely to happen is there's going to be 2 or 3 hunters sitting around this field for the majority of this late season.
All right, what's up, y'all? Me and Warb just rolled up here to the cabin in Iowa. He's got late season muzz tag. It's cold. It's real cold. And we seem to have run into a problem. Can't get the furnace lit. Furnace was out in the house. It is the temperature it is out here is what it is in there, except for the bunk room, which is run on a separate deal. Pipes are frozen. Let's go check on Warb and see how he's doing.
This is a problem.
Yeah.
Me and Nick had big plans doing some late season hunting. Just got to the cabin for this cold front. It's supposed to be frigid all week, perfect conditions. And this is what we got going on. That was hanging off of there. So the pipes are froze.
Yeah. That ain't gonna work.
There's that in the toilet. That's frozen.
Yeah, it wasn't frozen
That was not frozen.
when we got here.
It's frozen now.
Yeah, I just went and looked at the other one. It's frozen too. This is unfortunate.
I gotta figure out how to light the pilot light as it went out. And we might have to go to town and get space heaters.
Yeah.
And we still need to go hunting in a couple hours.
Yeah.
We're in problem solving mode now. This fireplace ain't gonna cut it either.
No. We got a meat locker in case you kill anything when I hang it up. I didn't think this happened to people up here in the north. I thought these homes were prepared.
They are for the most part, but when somebody leaves the front door of the house open and the furnace quits,
Yeah.
here we are. How's that? That suffice?
That's a start.
Space heaters engaged. Oh yeah, this is like the old junior high heaters we had.
The old radiator.
We've deployed the space heaters. Got our buddies from Southern Iowa Heating and Cooling coming to look at the furnace in the morning at 8. Situation is slowly improving. So me and Nick are gonna go hunting. It's like 2:15, 2:30. We're gonna jet out, see if we can tuck in somewhere quick and try to get into something this evening. We're gonna head for some thermal cover and try to get back in there away from the road. I've had 3 trail cameras out over standing crops in the last week and a half, and on the public around here there's a fair amount of standing crops, which is what gets a lot of attention during this time of the year. I mean, you'll see from these pictures there's a bunch of hunters perusing around the edges of these little standing crop fields, whether it's beans or corn. There's hunters all over them. There's deer all over them too, but mostly at night. I have got several shooter bucks on camera, but nothing anywhere close to the daytime. And that's been my experience hunting these spots on public in the past. Is it takes some seriously cold weather and an absence of people to get those bucks out there on those standing crop fields during the daylight. At least on these public areas where they get hunted regularly, those big bucks just don't make that many mistakes in those types of situations. So me and Nick are not going to any of those food plots where I got them cameras. We're gonna go into a spot where some heavy thermal cover in the hopes that we can get away from some people, get tighter to the bedding where these deer are at right now, and hopefully we can get them coming out of that thermal cover at night, you know, browsing along in a transition with some locust pods and stuff. But we'll go and figure it out. I haven't hunted at all yet this season. I don't know what's today, the 6th?
The 6th of January.
We only got 5 days of season left, and I ain't even been out yet on this tag. I took my nephew Camden out hunting because he's never killed a deer before, so I just decided to take him. And we saw some deer and we had a good time, but we didn't get a shot for him. I'm hopeful that we can get him out next spring and maybe try to help him get his first turkey. But now it's our turn to go out and freeze our butts off and hopefully find a buck.
Yep.
We got a little bit of snow last night where you can see some tracks and whatnot in these woods. Here's a couple beds right here. We might have just kicked these deer out of here. Huh. Look at that. Oh no, that's just berries smashed. I thought it was blood in the bed. It's not. Little buckbrush berries. There was definitely somebody in here yesterday though, because I got a picture of them on my trail camera. And then there's sled marks and boot tracks up there on that field. But I would assume if anybody was hunting this late season that they're going to stick to that field. And I haven't gotten any pictures of mature bucks on that field in daylight. So me and Nick are sneaking into a bedding area that's 500-600 yards away from that field. That's all these trails are leading up out of that bedding. Because if there's a buck in here, I would assume that he's up in them cedars. He's probably feeding out there in the evening, but an hour or two after dark is my guess. Last time me and Ben, when we hunted down here, we come in from the other way. I think we got up in that willow, or the one down, and we saw like 30 deer. They all come out up there and come down through this. And even up in that tree, it was hard to get a shot through all these branches and stuff. Alright, me and Nick are getting settled in here. That field where all the deer activity and hunter activity is back behind us, about 500 yards. We've got this bedding ridge right here that is full of cedars and thermal cover. We're not far from it. Most of them cedars start about, 150 yards up there. A lot of the trails funnel down out of that stuff and cross over going towards those fields, but we're thinking if we're going to have a chance at a mature buck, we need to be back here next to these thick cedars. There's a good chance we're going to get deer downwind of us tonight. It's the only thing I'm a little worried about. There's a heavy crossing right here behind us, 30 yards away. It's not an easy place to hunt. You need to have a windy evening like we've got here. We better shut up and get ready. I ain't even got a primer in my gun yet.
Hey, you better get girded up. Things are getting active.
I see a buck. Yeah. Way up in that locust grove. He was coming this way, though. 50 yards and not Booker. I'd have taken that all day long coming in here.
Oh, yeah.
Because usually that's what happens this time of year. You get 5, 10, 15 does and fawns come through first, and then big boys in the back. I only saw 2 bucks though, and the one come right in here to 55 yards, and Nick filmed me making a rub right there. He was nudging them does around. Stuff's a little 1.5-year-old buck. The other buck that I saw was a 2 or 3-year-old buck. He was way up here in the locust, about 200 yards from us. I only got one glimpse of him. That was it. I don't know how they didn't bust us. I mean, they looked over here a bunch of times, and there were so many other deer.
I thought for sure we were gonna get blown out.
We're fixing to.
Oh yeah.